It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is Adult Day Healthcare, and joining me is Bob Weber, who is the founder of the Social Adult Daycare Center, and Laura Bierbaum, who is the Activities Director at the Social. And I want to tell you before we even start the show that this is going to be a little bit different, because we're going to take and talk about the topic of Adult Day Healthcare, and we're going to treat it from two aspects. The first segment will feature Laura Bierbaum, who is the Activities Director, and we'll talk about how adult day healthcare fits into the overall element of care, and we'll try to focus Bob and Laura on the social activity side. On the second segment we're going to shoot today, we'll bring a nurse in, and we'll talk about how medical awareness is focused in adult day healthcare, and it's just a different look at how a patient progresses as they're aging.
Yes.
Agree? Okay.
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
Since we're doing this a little bit different, I'd like for you first, Bob, to describe a little bit of your background and what particularly qualifies you to found and then operate an adult day healthcare. Because most people say, I want to avail myself of that service. They have no idea how people get started. But I want people now to understand why and how you got involved in adult day healthcare, because it's important.
I believe mine's a little bit different than most people, because I started out with a family that worked in healthcare. My mother was a nurse. I have aunts and uncles that are in the healthcare business. I have a nephew that just graduated from school. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's going through his residency. But when I was a child, my mother used to work in a nursing home, and back in the days, we used to only have those one-car families.
Right.
And my father would pick up my mom. We would all pack into the car, and we would drive over to the nursing home and get my mother. And when we go into the nursing home, even back then, I remember certain nursing homes aren't the best of nursing homes. So I started out with my family being in healthcare. From there, I actually went into information technology, computers. I didn't really want to go into healthcare. So I worked for big companies, and the baby boomer got my interest again, and I saw how some seniors were being treated. So I decided to open up a home health agency. And for 10 years, I used to own a home health agency just in Melbourne. The economy changed, and families were taking back the care of their loved ones. So I decided to help them out because of the cost to open up the adult daycare.
But I'm going to interrupt you. But at the same time, you're talking about cost. You're all already thinking about the stress and the strain on the caregiver, and that's where you start into the picture.
No,
too.
you're absolutely right. We saw that all the time. When I owned the home health agency, we would go to the home, and we saw the stress. I'm seeing the stress right now with family caregivers coming to the adult daycare. They need a break just as much as the participant needs some activities and some action, some stimulation. So,
but we're going to talk about, we're talking about that, but we're going to talk about something different after Laura gets a chance, and you don't monopolize the whole show.
I tend to do that.
Yeah, that's right. But we're going to make sure that people understand that what you two are trying to do here as a different aspect to adult day healthcare. Agree?
Oh, we're out of the box on this one. There's
Okay.
no other adult daycare around that does what we do.
Okay, somebody might make you eat those words, but if you live up to what I think you want, what your expectations will be for the social, that you might be able to come back on a show a year from now and say, see, Joe, I told you I could do it.
I told you so.
I told you so.
Right.
Laura, your background. What do you bring to this equation?
Well, my background, I've been working since 1984, right out of University of Florida, with seniors. I was a community service director down in Miami at a large retirement center, where I basically did community outreach. I brought in the guest speakers. I formed the talent to put together for the activity programming, the classes on fine arts, the discussion panels, put together all the parties, made sure that everyone in my general area got to their meals and had a personal touch. And from there, they went on to the experts in this place, particularly into the nursing home, where they had their own set of specialties.
Okay.
As I worked with seniors from there on in, I kind of honed in on the dementia. I just have a natural proclivity to working with those, a lot of patients with those with dementia. So I've gone through activities at different facilities. I moved down to St. Lucie County and Martin County, where I really was the director of the dementia unit, not just the general population, but the specific population, which has its own set of needs.
Was that in a retirement community?
That was in an assisted living facility.
Okay.
The three different areas. So they have their own rules and regulations.
Right. So then, when you came to Melbourne, where'd you work?
When I came back here, I focused on private duty care, in-home care with those that I could give one-on-one attention to, more like a social secretary, where people were still able to be active within their church or having.
Okay. Sort of fit in with what Bob was doing with his company. Mm-hmm. But then you got involved with Autumn House.
I got involved in Autumn House. So that was years prior before I ever left Brevard. I had worked in the Autumn House as an activity director there, which was a wonderful spot because they had the two different areas. They had early Alzheimer's and later Alzheimer's, but they also had the open air space that you could traverse between the two.
But Autumn House was a locked facility,
yes,
which prevented clients from getting out.
Correct.
So a lot of times, and people don't ever make this connection. I can't, and I hope the director or the owner at Autumn House would not take me to task for saying this, but it was, I would say it's an extremely updated insane asylum from this aspect.
Well, out of necessity. Out of necessity. It's not that they're locked away sometimes for their own benefit, but the beauty, if you don't mind, of Autumn House.
You give me a chance now.
The beauty of Autumn House was because it had an open floor plan that people that were what we considered pacers could make a continual loop. They could go in a door, out a door. So they were not restricted from outdoor activity. They were not restricted from where they could go.
But in
they
the
were safe.
40s and 50s, this country had a large number of what we lovingly called insane asylums, because that's exactly what they were. But we've gotten away from that. And we had organizations and facilities like Autumn House that were beautiful, had activities. I knew the cook there. The meals were gourmet meals. Mm-hmm. The people, the staff there worked with the people. Then we start improving our adult day health cares. And then we start having innovations in adult day health cares, which added another piece to the puzzle to make all this care more real. So now, enter the social. Why did you start the type of adult day health care you did, Bob?
When I did a lot of research, I found most of the adult daycares are cookie cutter. They're the same type. They're either very small and they don't have a lot of activities. It's more for babysitting instead of really having seniors do things, or they're for advanced Alzheimer's participants that they just weren't manageable. They had to go somewhere. My facility is more, if I wanted to describe it in just a few words, it's like a senior center with caregivers, licensed healthcare workers.
Okay.
We have everything that you need, and it's homey. It's very warm and inviting. It's not cold and industrial and institutional.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Laura, as the activities director, in the previous type of work that you did with retirement communities, with Autumn House, how do you see your accumulation of experience in that environment, that setting, being used here in the social to change things?
Well, I see the social as being a gap, a social gap between those at home and those that need to be placed. So we provide an area that is welcoming, that is homey, that is really, the concept was entertainment, that he wants them to be entertained. For me, it's about the rapport. It's always about the rapport. If they come in and you make them feel welcome, you learn how they like their coffee, you learn what conversations they like to have, you start building the rapport. You get those little inside jokes. They feel comfortable here. They want to come back. And then you have them build that within each other. Like the other day we were playing 21, blackjack, whatever.
Right.
But they know each other well enough now that they can kid with each other, and that's a good sign. That's a good sign. They feel comfortable here. They've begun to make friends here, and that's what we want. We want them to feel comfortable.
I remember years ago when I first got involved in adult day healthcare, a gentleman came to us, and he was very shy and introverted, and he just didn't really want to do anything. So one of the aides was sweeping in the daycare, and he said, "Could I do that?" And she gave him the broom. He took the broom. He went home, and that weekend, he asked his daughter if he could sweep the sidewalks. But she was flabbergasted. She didn't understand. He had never done anything around the house. Now he wants to sweep the sidewalks outside. So she gave him the broom. Long story short, she found out through her father being stimulated at the adult day healthcare that opened up new avenues for him. And too often we think that because a person has not been outgoing or they have a certain type of dementia. So there are 80-some different types of dementia. Alzheimer's is only one of many. There's so many. But it's your job, and that's what we'll talk about in the other segment we're going to do, is how the nurse interacts with that. But now you, as the activities director, are doing something entirely different. And as we're talking, I hope that we'll get some of this in what we call B-roll. So as we're talking, we'll be able to put some shots in so that people will see how people go out and interact with others. That's important.
We have a couple of scenarios that you were just talking about with your participants. We have one participant in particular that came in, same scenario, and I'll let Laura talk about it because she tells her wife, his wife, all the time of his progress. In the beginning, she wasn't able to sleep. She was always worried. He was also introverted. He was very quiet and shy, and he comes thinking he's a volunteer, and he was very quiet. And now, talk about him.
Well, he's assuming a new role.
He's doing a lot more than just being quiet now.
Yeah, he and I share a similar kind of sense of humor. You know, we can be very serious at some points, but now and then a joke will come up that it'll floor me, that he will come out with something so clever and witty. But he tends to be the introvert. He'll be on the outskirts. He'll be sitting in the back when we have a special program. But when you're one-on-one with him, we were playing chess yesterday, and he'll just he'll light up. He'll just he'll say something so uncharacteristic. Yes.
Is this the one who was talking about submarines?
No, this is a brand new gentleman who had just come in today. Today's his first day here, and so I keep him engaged. In fact, I learned a great deal just keeping him engaged while his caregiver talks to our administrative staff.
I was referring.
You were talking about, yes,
The
yes,
other
my
person.
friend, yes, who is
He was very quiet.
very quiet.
He came out of one of the bathrooms, heard one of the songs playing, and started belting out the song.
Yeah.
He's never done that before. He's now playing with his grandkids. He's never done that before. His wife is loving this.
Mm-hmm.
She's hugging me every day saying, thank you.
Yeah.
It's so different, she
Because
says.
we have that bond.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
This is what I hope our viewers are starting to understand by listening to the two of you talk about what you're experiencing real life with people that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, that there's a lot more to life than we often realize. And simply because we get old, we hurt, we ache, but sometimes our minds need
Sharp
to be
as a
stimulated.
tack.
Yeah, but
There's
they need that stimulation, Bob.
They're tired of sitting at home and watching the same shows, or they've created a routine and all they think they have to do is sit in that one room, turn on the channel, and watch television all day. Once they come here, there's more to it. There's more to life. There's more that they do. They're interacting with they're socializing with the other people.
As activity director, Laura, what are some of the things that you have the client? For instance, when they park in the back lot and they come through the back door and they come into the entrance to the social club, I know how I had my people when I ran a daycare. I know how I had my people greet people. How do you greet the people?
Well, I generally go, if I've never seen them before, I'd go up and offer them a nickel tour. And most people understand that means just let's go see what's around, get the lay of the land. But as I do it, I'm also trying to find out information from them. So I start with that rapport right from the get-go and see where do they gravitate, what do they lean towards, what questions might they have, and try to befriend them from the moment they come in. Now it's usually, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but don't you find that as you meet these people, that one of the things that I've experienced through my own experience with daycare has been the hands-on experience, the touching, the putting a hand on an arm, a hand on a back,
handshake,
or a hug.
That handshake, yes.
Laura takes them arm in arm,
that.
almost like they're walking down an aisle for a wedding.
Yes, I
So
do.
she does that. She grabs them. She says, "Come
Guilty
with
as
me."
charged because they're warm.
I'm always hugging. We're always touching. We're not cold. We're very warm here.
Well, see, that's
Everyone
what
does the touchy.
I never hired a person to work in our daycares if they couldn't hug a person. If they couldn't hug a person, I didn't want them around because I knew that the need for the warmth would not be there. See, we found out many years ago that in coping with people that had dementia, that one of the most calming things, well, two things you had to remember. First, you have to remember that if a person has dementia, you don't want to argue with them, because once you start arguing with them, it exacerbates their whole attitude, and they become unglued. The other thing is, I found out if you're just standing there, here, give me your hand. Give me your hand. If you're just sitting there talking to somebody and just rub the back of their hand like that, it may not seem like much, but that touch, it calms the person. And you've experienced the same thing, haven't you?
Very much. With touch and also with song. With song. I reach out to people through song.
Well, Bob kind of said when talking about the guy belting out the song. That's important too.
Yeah.
Oh, he shocked everyone when he did that. It was like he's talking. Something triggered. He loved that song, and he was walking through the whole facility singing it. And the wife loved it. He's now in church, and they actually have to kind of quiet him down because he's really loud singing along during services.
I know people like that in church that have perfectly nothing wrong with it.
No, it's nothing wrong, but it's just so new for the family. They're saying, "Oh, now you're really loud." He's drawing attention, but he's out of his shell now.
Yeah, I had a granddaughter one time decide she was going to sing in church when she was very young too, and I remember that very well. But as people get older and they get in daycare, I think you find that it sort of brings back memories where they tend to let themselves fit in with the atmosphere in which they're placed. And if it's a good atmosphere, which good adult day health cares can do, because you treat both the activity side and the medical side. And that, for the future of our entire care system, if we don't do a better job of recognizing that there are so many elements of care, we're not going to be able to combat this cost. You had an example you told me. How about telling our viewing audience about this program you have here, where if you buy certain things, because I think that the viewers will really enjoy hearing what you're saying.
I know it's tough now with the economy. So what I decided to do with the company is to offer kind of like, these companies, you buy a product, you can have the same product of equal or lesser value. So it's BOGO. So it's a buy one, get one. If you buy 4 hours, I'll match it with 4 hours. So you'll get 8 hours. If you buy a whole week, I'll give you another week. The couple that we were just talking about yesterday, she says, I want to buy 6 months. So she has a whole year of services, which mathematically, it's only costing her $3.75 an hour.
$3.75 an hour. And let's just round it.
Including meals and everything else.
Yeah, it includes the wine or the beer at the end of the day.
It does.
Okay, but let's look at this. If you're here 8 hours, 4 each or 32.
Yeah.
32 times 5, it would be $160.
Yes.
160 times 4, 320, 740. $740 a month. That person is taken care of for 20 days. The caregiver has the break. And if they had to go to just even a mediocre assisted living facility, mediocre, at least $3,000 a month.
Yes.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're starting to help people understand that correct, wise, timely, early on use of adult day health care is one way to help drive down the ultimate cost of care.
Yes. And also your own, as a family caregiver, some peace, a break, some respite care, they need the break just like the participant needs some activity.
Yeah, well, it just adds another piece to the caregiving equation, Bob.
Yeah.
But we'll get into this on the medical side, but by having their loved one in adult day health care that has the medical model with it, the nurse sees changes that she can apprise the family of so they can get that information to the doctor so that you can adequately treat caregiving situations.
Yes, we're constantly doing assessments and monitoring them.
Yeah, but see, you both have an advantage here with you working in adult day health care and you owning adult health care company, you own a health care company. So you bring experience to the caregiver or to the adult daycare that many operators do not bring. And that's, I think when people research, they have to do a better job of knowing what the service providers can actually do. Can you both comment about, in the last minute or so that we have 2 minutes. What can you tell our viewers about what makes the entertainment part of the social different? You first, Laura.
Well, I think it's because it shows our folks that we're at the early stages, while you still can interact, while you still can appreciate being with other people, and that there's still hope for some kind of a quality of life.
Okay. Bob?
Our facility has sections that other facilities don't have. We have social media, we have a cafe, we have a bar there where people can be friendly. It's homey. It's like your living room. It's your kitchen. It's your den. I've set it up that way where you have entertainment, you have pool tables and air hockey and shuffleboard, things you don't see in a normal adult daycare, but you see at a home. And that's what I brought here. I brought a home into 5,000 square feet.
Okay. And what I hope that we can do in our B-roll is to capture a wheelchair person sitting there having a sip of beer or wine at the wheelchair section, and the guy standing at the bar next to him talking to the person in the wheelchair. And you know why I think that's important? Because I remember when I had come out of the Navy retirement home in Gulfport, Mississippi, I had two men that spent 8 hours a day in the bar. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in the bar. And what they did was they drank 4 tabs each. Tab, which is a diet drink. I can stand that stuff.
Yes.
But it was the socialization part of it. That's what was so important.
And that's why I built a bar. People are comfortable around their bar. They want to sit there. They don't have to drink the alcohol, but they're there and they can socialize with other people. So I'm trying to do that normalcy. And
you do the same thing with the way you set your cafe up.
Yes.
You do the same thing with the way you set your exercise section up.
Yes.
It all intermingles, it all ties together. Now, I want to thank you both for being on the show today, because I think it's extremely important that people get a better understanding of what adult day healthcare is, and the social, through the provision of entertainment such as you are doing, makes it completely different. So I just want to thank you, and I want to thank you, viewers, for watching today's episode of Helping Seniors.